So in this screencast we're going to look at some of the text blocks in microbit. So we've already had a look at some of those when we were looking at the arrays, but I'm just going to go through it in a little bit more detail now. So there are a number of blocks to manipulate text. So we can do things like calculating the length of a string, we can join two strings together, we can get the character at a particular index within a string, we can compare strings, or we can get a substring of a string. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a project and we're going to look at some of this functionality. So in our project we're going to call it manipulate text, and in that at the start we're going to create a text variable called greeting, and we're going to just set it to the value hello. Once we do that, then we're going to say when the A button is pressed, we're going to calculate the length of that string, and then we will pick a random number between 0 and the end of the string, and we'll print out the character at that index of the string. The next thing we will do is when the B button is pressed, we'll just print out the first 3 letters of the string, so that's going to use the substring functionality. And finally, when the A and B buttons are pressed together, we create a text variable called name and give it the value of your name, and then we're going to join the words greeting and name and display that. So in my case, I would set name to Pam, and then when I'm going to display the greeting and name, it will just say hello Pam. So we'll go to makecode.com now and create this project. So we have a new project with the onStart and forever. I'm just going to get rid of the forever, but I'm going to keep the onStart because remember we want to create a variable. So I'm going to go to variables and make a variable, and I'm going to create a variable called greeting. So once I do that, I can click OK on that, and then I'm going to pull across the set item to change item to greeting, and I'm just going to set it equal to hello. But you'll see here that when I do that, it's coming up as red, and when I put it in and hit enter, it just goes back to 0. The reason for that is that by default every variable you create is a number, so we're going to have to change it so that we can put in a string there. So that takes us nicely down to, if we go to advanced here and we look at the blocks here, the text blocks, and we've already seen this before in the arrays, but I'll just show you again. We can pull across this block here, and that will allow us to create a string. So if you want to create a string variable, you need to just create the variable and then bring in the string block. So here I'm just going to put in hello, and notice this time it doesn't have a problem with it. So we're setting greeting to hello. Now we can just check here if we just do show string, and I'm just going to get the variables here, pull across greeting, and we'll just, so now it's on start, set greeting to hello, and we're showing the string greeting. So that's just a very basic, just to test to make sure that everything is working as it should be. So we have our starting position, which is that we have a variable called greeting, and now we're going to go to input, and when the A button is pressed, we're going to calculate the length of the string, and then we are going to display the character at a random position within that string. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to variables, and I'm going to make a variable, and my variable is going to be called string length. So that's the length of the string, and then we're going to set that to, so I'm going to just click set string length to. Now we need to go back down to the text blocks here, and here you see we can find length of text. So I can just pull that across and drop it into the right here. So we're saying set string length to length of text, and then I need to go back into my variables and pull across greeting. So this is going to say set the string length, which is a variable, to the length of the text greeting. Now remember, we've set greeting to hello, so that string length is going to be 5, and we'll just test that and make sure that it's working. So if I do show number here, I can show number, and I can show number string length, and that should show me 5. So when the A button is pressed, that should happen. So I'm just going to restart the simulator, press the A button, and it shows 5 as we would expect. So you'll see here that sometimes I just do these little displays of either the string or a number, just to check to make sure that my code is correct so far. So I'm just going to take that out for now because I don't need it, because that was just really for test purposes. The next thing I want to do is I want to create a variable called index, and I'm going to store a random number between 0 and the length of the string in that variable, and then I'm going to display the character at that point. So if I go to variables again, and I'm going to set index to, and if I just go to math here, I'm going to pick a random number. So I'm going to pick random 0 to 4. Now in this case 0 to 4 would work fine for me because my string length is 5, so I'm picking random 0 to 4. So if I picked 0, it would print out H. If I picked 1, it would print out E. If I picked 2, it would print out L. 3 would print out L as well, and 4 would print out O. But I actually want to make sure that it is the string length, so that if I change the length of that greeting, it's automatically going to work for me. So I'm going to go to logic here, go to math here, and I'm just going to pull across the minus, because remember my string length is 5, so if I go pick random 0 to string length, it's going to go 0 to 5, but then it's going to try and access something that isn't there within the greeting. So I need to say variables here, I need to go string length minus 1. So if I pull that in there, I now have set index to pick random 0 to string length minus 1. Remember, string length is 5, minus 1 is 4, so that's going to give me back my indices that I'm looking for, so 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. And then I'm going to go to my text block here, and here you've got a block which says char, from, at. So the from is whatever string you want to get the character in, and then the at is the index. I'm just going to pull that across and drop it in here. So the first thing I need to do is I need to go to my variables for greeting. So I'm looking for the character from greeting, so the character from the string greeting, and I want to get it at index. So it's show string char from greeting at index. So when I do that, it should give me a random number between 0 and 4, and then it would print out whatever is at that position within the string. So let's do a little test of this and see how it's working. So it's printing out E, so our number must have been 1 here. And I do it again, and it's printing out H, so this time our number must have been 0. L, now I don't know whether our number was 2 or 3 here, but it's one of those. H again is back to 0. L is either 2 or 3 again, 2 or 3 again, 1, 0, 1. And there we got the O. Just want to make sure that all of them are showing, to make sure that my code is correct. O seems to be a little bit shy, but there we have it again. So now that's working exactly as it should be, and it's randomly just displaying a value as we need. So that's our on button A pressed, successfully coded. Now I'm going to go back up and do on button B pressed, and remember we said that when the B button is pressed, we want to show a substring. So if we go to the text blocks here, we can see we've got a substring block here. So I'm just going to pull that down, and then I'm just going to go to basic, and I'm going to show string here. So here, show string, and we've got substring. So the substring is, well, the thing we want to substring is our greeting, which is our string value, and we want to go from 0. So I had said that we wanted to show the first 3 characters, so we're going to go from 0, and it is of length 3. So it's not going to finish at index 3, it is going to finish at index 2, because it is of length 3. So if I now press the B button, it should print out HEL, which it does. Now I just want to show you something here. If I change that to 2, then it's going to start at index 2 and print out the next 3 characters. So when we press the B button now, it should print out L, L, O as it does. You could also go from index 1, and you could say that you just want of length 2, so that's just going to print out E and L, and if I click the B button now, it prints out E and L as I expect. So I'm just going to put it back to 0 of length 3. So that's the B button functionality sorted, And then the final one we want to have a look at is on the A and B button pressed, we want to join hello and our name. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to input. We're going to pull across the on button A pressed. Remember, it goes grey because I already have a button A pressed. So I'm going to pull this back here. So on button A pressed here. And then I'm going to change the A to A plus B. And then I'm going to go to the advanced and text block here, and I'm going to pull across this join. So first off, I want to go back and do a show string. So we're showing string, and I can pull in the join and drop it in on top of the hello. So what's going to happen there is that we're going to pull in two different strings here. The first one is my variable greeting. Now at this point I can do one of two things. I can either create another variable called name and give it my name Pam, or I can just type in Pam here. And it really is a matter of choice here. I suppose if you were going to change it, then maybe you might create a variable. In this case, I'm just going to put in Pam directly there. So now if I press the A plus B button, it should say hello Pam. And there's my hello. And then Pam comes next. Now, as I said, we could just do that as a variable as well. Just go to variables here, and I'm going to make a variable. I'm going to name it name, and then I want to set, I'm just going to put it in here, so I'm going to set name to, and remember I need to go to the text here and pull across the text option, and I'm going to call it Pam. So set name to Pam, and then I can just go to variables and pull across name. So this time it's just pulling in the name variable, which also has Pam in there. So when I hit A plus B button now, it will say hello Pam. So that's really it for our text blocks screencast. So remember, in this screencast we looked at the various different things we can do with the text blocks, and then we created this project here. So remember, just to recap on the project, we set a greeting to hello at the very start. Then when the A button was pressed, we calculated the length of the string, and then we picked a random value between 0 and that string length -1 and printed out the character at that index. That's when the A button was pressed. When the B button was pressed, we did a substring of our variable greeting, and then when the A and B button are pressed together, we are printing out hello and our name, or that greeting and our name. So I hope you found this useful.